All right.
Speaking of this weekend, time to make our picks, Tom.
Best part of the week.
Yeah, we're going to start with a CAA matchup. UMass, who continues to stay in the polls despite the fact they've only played one game this year and a bunch of COVID issues early, taking on Drexel. Who you got?
You know, this is a really interesting matchup for me because Drexel's also only played 2 games themselves. So these are 2 teams who we haven't seen much of yet. And I know UMass started with a win over Fairfield, 13-9. Thought that score was a little closer than it was. The game was closer than the score indicated.
Okay.
And then you saw Drexel come back and sort of struggle against Delaware in their second game. So I do think UMass, despite the fact that we know they're really talented, as you know, they're 13th in the country, a second game still figuring things out, sort of like Drexel in their game against Delaware. So I'm going to give UMass a little bit of an edge. I think it's going to be close, 10-9.
Ooh,
UMass
low scoring
on top. I think that Drexel's got enough talent. The Delaware game was just part of them figuring things out this year.
All right. I also like UMass in this one. I'm going 15-12. Somebody who really stood out to me. We know the knowns for UMass that are back, guys like Billy Philpott in the midfield, Jeff Traynor, the All-American, Matt Notes back in goal. They got a new guy in freshman Dylan Arant, 2 goals. He is huge, 6'1", 205, freshman starting at attack. Him along with Chris Conley and Devin Spencer and company in there. I really like that unit. So new pieces along with the guys that we know for UMass. I think they can score. I'm going to get them to 15.
Another new name for Drexel, Sean Donnelly, a transfer from Syracuse, redshirt freshman, an IMG Academy guy, 7 points this year in 2 games. Another guy that's sort of coming on the scene in the CAA as well.
Yeah, saw him in high school. Very talented.
Yeah.
Let's go to the Big Ten. Maryland, Ohio State. Buckeyes have gotten back to 2-2 here in the conference, but the Terps have been the mighty Terps. Who you like?
Well, the big factor in this game is Ryan Terefenko. I mean, let's be honest here. Without him in the lineup, and we don't know whether he's going to be in or out, but it's the way things have been going. I'm not sure we see him back this week. That's my hunch. I hope we do. If he's there, I think it's a closer game, maybe a 4 or 5 goal game. But as you can tell with the way I'm talking now, Maryland, I think they're going to blow them out. 18-9. I have Jackson Reed's got to do more for Ohio State. He's got just 7 points in 4 games this year. He's got to be a guy that steps up for Ohio State. Hasn't done that so far. Be tough to do that against Maryland, especially without Ryan Terefenko for Ohio State. It's an uphill battle.
Yeah, I also like the Terps. I'm going 16-11. I don't know if the game's going to be that close. I think the final score ends up there. I mean, this Terps team showed over the weekend against Rutgers that they are in clear contention along with Duke and North Carolina right now as a cut maybe above the rest. I think Syracuse has the opportunity to get to that. But right now it's Duke, Carolina, and Maryland, the top 3. And there seems to be maybe some separation between them and then the rest of the top 10. Like I said, Syracuse maybe finds a way in there. But those 3 are heads and tails above the rest. And Maryland right now is, until somebody beats them in the Big Ten, they're the team to beat. They're the team.
I mean, at this point, Maryland has better wins than Duke. So they, all things considered, could be the #1 team.
No, 100% from what we've seen on the field. But they've only played Big Ten teams this year. So, I mean, Duke's doing a little bit of everything. We're going to see him in ACC play.
Okay. Soon we will, but not just yet. Okay, we move on. Boston College Hofstra women is also a battle this weekend. 2 of the better scorers, best in the country. Charlotte North for Boston College, Alyssa Perella for Hofstra. Travis, who scores more in this one?
So I'm going to give the slight edge. I like BC to win the game, but I'm going to give the slight edge to Perella for Hofstra. When you look at this Hofstra offense, if they're going to be competitive against a really good Boston College team, they need Alyssa Perella to have a big game. So I think the pressure's on Perella. I think I got Perella with like 7 points, Charlotte North with 6. North, while she can do a lot, doesn't have to do a lot. They've got other players on that offense. Kara Urbank's having a nice season. So that's where I give Perella the slight edge in points, but I like BC to win. The Boston College team was impressive against a top 10 Virginia team last weekend.
Yeah, I agree as well. Boston College has been solid this year, though they've been a little weaker in the midfield in terms of the scoring coming out of there from their opponents. Kerrigan Miller had her best game, 3 goals against Boston College. Ali Mastrioni also had 3 goals in that North Carolina win. I know North Carolina is a different territory, but still something to look at. Perella also last year in this game took 11 shots. She had 3 and 1 against Boston College. And I think I ended up giving North the advantage. I think I just convinced myself that Perella might score more goals now that I'm thinking about it.
I was going to say.
I think North is just inevitable at the end of the day. And against Hofstra last year, she went 3-5. I think that's what I'm really going off of there.
That's fair.
In terms of just Hofstra being able to handle her is going to be really difficult.
North will have more highlight reel goals. I'm going to predict that. More than everybody else in the country. Let's finish things up in the ACC. Doubleheader matchup here in the women's game. You got Duke and Virginia. They play twice this weekend. Yeah. Who do you think wins the series?
I think I go to the draw control circle to start because you got Maddie Jenner in there for Duke, who's got 63 draw controls here this season. They've played 7 games. That's still really good. Then on the other end for Virginia, it's been more of a mixture. Annie Dyson's been there. Mackenzie Hogue has 35. She leads the team. And I think that also might provide a little bit of a challenge. So I like Virginia on Friday, and then maybe an adjustment there in possession on Sunday, on the next day, on Sunday, as Duke will win that game. So Maddie will figure out some of the different pieces they're throwing at her, and she'll figure that out. And then the more Duke has the ball, the more Gabby Rosenzweig, can score for them. She's talented.
You really broke this down. I just think that they're going to split. I think you're right there, Virginia and Duke. I love the veteran leadership from this Duke team. Catherine Cordry, Gabby Rosenzweig, both grad students. Katie Cronin, a senior. All 3 have been good. But Virginia can score with Duke, averaging 15 goals per game. So that's why I think this is pretty even. Like I said, in terms of the ACC split on the men's side, or in terms of rankings, I think it's Carolina and Syracuse at the top of the women's. You got Notre Dame and BC maybe in the middle. And I think these two have that opportunity to kind of move into that second tier. It'll be interesting to watch them play this weekend.
Maybe that's a third tier. You got Carolina and Syracuse right now, in my mind.
Well,
Tracy Wiener, she said
just wait until they play. We'll see.